Mm. Man, I slept good. What? Oh, welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. Man, y'all can't sneak up on me like that, man. You gotta let me know you're around. All right, man. So I did go ahead and grab a match that was played against Mykola, Bortnyk, and Wesley So. The name Bortnyk might sound familiar to some of you guys because there is an Alexander Bortnyk, and that is his younger brother. GM from Ukraine. I think he's like number 1 or 2. I know Ivan Chek is up there, like in the top 2 or something like that. 3. Somewhere in there. But anyways, this is the match that they played against each other yesterday. They played a few games. So I went ahead and grabbed one for you. So all of my people that are coming from the Philippines, I will say Maraming Salamat. Anybody who is coming from Ukraine, I will say Veliki Spasibi. If you guys are ready to go, man, let's take a look and see what we got for this game, son. All right, so we got the move E4, best ball test. We got D6 by Wesley So, the Pirc defense. We got D4, we got knight to F6, we do see knight to C3, and then we do see G6. And we have a Pirc. I think it's commonly known as the Pirc defense, but the proper pronunciation is Pirc. But it has like kind of some King's Indian qualities to it. We do see the move H3 by white. We got bishop to G7, and then G4. Like, hey, man, I'm going to attack your knight some kind of way, bro. We definitely have some ideas of maybe a G5 coming. If we can inconvenience this knight, it doesn't have really a lot of squares to go to. If this pawn push is successful, you pretty much just kind of have this here. But it does affect because normally you see a knight B to D7. We do see move castles by black. We got bishop to G2. We got the move C5 attacking our very nice D4 pawn. And then we do see the move knight G to E2. So we are going to capture back on D4 with the knight. So pawn takes, and then we have knight takes, and then knight goes to C6. And we got bishop to E3. And the interesting thing is we don't actually follow this line in this opening, but I will show you something that might kind of look pretty familiar to you if you do play against the Sicilian as white, or if you do play the dragon as black. We do see in this game bishop to E6, and then we actually see castles by white, which is actually a very good move in the position, but you definitely, with this type of a structure in front of your king, you kind of want to be careful, homie. You don't necessarily want to go off just throwing your pawns in front of your king because your king's going to be like, no, why don't you love me, right? Anyways, in this position, after we do see the move bishop to E6, something that I do want to note is that it is very possible just to simply go queen to D2, and you got queen to A5. And like I said, this literally is a Sicilian dragon. You have the half open C file. You do have this fianchetto bishop. You got the queen to A5. I think this is actually a transposition. If not, I might be missing a minor detail. This bishop probably doesn't usually come here with the knight being able to capture because this is a very good bishop. But you guys get the point if you play this as black or white. But like I said, we don't see that. We do see castles by white. We see knight taking D4, bishop taking D4. We got the knight going back to D7. We do have dark square weaknesses around our king if we are black. So one of the good things that you might want to try to do is trade these dark square bishops off. If you can successfully do that, then you would ease white's ability to attack you on that color complex around your king. Bam! So we got bishop taking G7, king taking D7, G7, and then the very natural queen to D4 with check. Just placing this queen dead smack in the center of the board. Like, what are you going to do? My queen is right here. And we are attacking the king. We do see the move F6. Now, backing up, queen to D4 check is a novelty of the game. It makes a lot of sense, so it's crazy how it's a novelty, but it is. Anyways, we do see the move F6 just blocking, and we actually see the move F4 from white, which absolutely makes a whole lot of sense. You're like, bro, you know what? This bishop, I don't like it right there. Maybe some F5s can come up. I can rip this position open, maybe get to the king a little bit. So there's definitely something to be said for this F4 move. But another move in the position, recognizing that the position is probably going to become somewhat open. You would possibly be looking at this move, knight to D5. And this is definitely an honorable mention. You are asking some serious questions to black in this position. Number one, do you want to trade your bishop for my knight in this kind of a position? Probably not, even though it is definitely one of the moves. And Or are you just going to retreat the bishop? Or are you going to leave it there? Are you going to allow my knight to just become a monster in the center of the board with all these arrows, like these like these Hikaru arrows? Is that what we're going to do? So it's a very tough decision for black to have to make, giving up their bishop or allowing you to have a monster knight. And then you would probably see maybe something like a5. You would see c3, bishop going back to f7, rook a to d1. You see this is actually very strong for white. But like I said, we do not see that. We do see f4 in the position. We got queen going to b6 because you have opened that diagonal to your king. And what better way to really shut down what you're trying to do as white than to offer a queen trade? You have to trade the queen some kind of way. You can move the queen somewhere, like maybe back to f2 and trade that way. But black really wants your queen off the board, and you have to oblige it because you're pinned. So we do see queen taking b6, knight taking b6. We got the move e5, pawn takes c5, pawn takes c5, and then we do see the move knight to c4. Not only are you attacking this pawn down here because it's lonely, you are wanting to capture back here so that you do not damage your nice structure that you have over here. Pawn takes f6, pawn takes f6. We do see rook a to e1. And this is a nice counterattack. I mean, why not just win a bishop for free? But black says, bro, you can't get my bishop for free. I like my bishop. I'm going to go ahead and back it up to g8. And then we do see the move g5. And there's this very specific idea. It does hang your b2 pawn, but there's a very specific idea behind it. We actually see Wesley So go f5 in the position, just trying to keep things as closed as possible, because there was a little something if you did capture here. It wasn't the end of the world by far, but you do allow this rook coming up to e7, and now you have a very powerful rook on this rank, and you have opened this file for this other rook. So, I mean, it can get kind of dicey. You definitely don't want to block because the rook is going to take, bishop's going to take, and you got bishop coming here. And that's not what we came to do. That's not the party that we came for. So we do see the move f5, like I said, keeping everything pretty closed. You got the move b3 because, I mean, let's face it, your pawn was hit on b3. You do see knight going to a3, bishop taking b7. We got rook a to b8. We do see bishop down to d5. We got bishop takes, knight takes, and then now the knight on a3, that was sad, has just captured one of the pawns. So it's kind of full at this point. We do see rook going up to e7. Rook goes to f7 blocking, and then we do actually see rook to c1. Rook takes, knight takes. We got a rook going down to b7. Black is basically like, bro, if you're going to attack my knight, I'm going to attack your knight. Let's go. Like, what are we doing? So we do see rook going to b7. And there's actually a nice move that white can play here. If you want to go ahead and pause the video and guess that move, go ahead and do so. Okay, so, you know, I think I tell you guys a lot. You know, if you're going to be losing a piece, like if your piece is like absolutely trapped, I mean, the thing that you need to be trying to look for is there any way that I can like go down swinging? I always say that, go down swinging. Can I get some kind of material in exchange for my piece? So as you guys are aware, as white, I mean, you do have your knight attacked. You know, I have your knight attacked. So, I mean, you definitely can just like take here and then black takes here. And I mean, you know, that's not a bad situation. You definitely are not like worse or anything. But there is actually something that you can do in the position to, like I said, go down swinging. And that move is actually knight takes f5 with check. This is a desperado move. For any of you that are not aware of what a desperado move is, it is generally when your piece is trapped and you cannot escape, and you're basically saying, hey, man, I'm going to grab a piece, or I'm going to grab a pawn. I'm going to grab something while I'm going down. So you're just not going to get my piece for free. That is more often than not, you know, when you do a desperado move. It's also for these situations where you have like you're being attacked and you know, somebody's attacking you, you're attacking them at the same time. So you're like, hey, man, I'm going to get something. So that is why we see knight taking f5 with check. Very, very good move. I mean, you have to parry a check no matter what. So, like, black doesn't even have the option to say, hey, man, I'm not going to take your knight, whatever. So you are actually getting a pawn in this position. Pawn takes g5. You do see rook taking c2. And two things that you need to notice if you are in this position. Number one, white is up a pawn, so that's definitely a thing. Also, black has a slightly worse structure because if you notice, all of white's pawns are actually connected to each other, and you actually have a little bit of a split pawn situation going on here for Wesley So on the king side. Subtle, but I mean, it is definitely much more preferred for white. We do see king going down to g6. We got the move h4. And we do see the move f4 in this position. It might kind of seem like, hey, man, I got a bad pawn on the h file. Can I just go h6? And I'm like, you know, damaging the structure. Well, in this specific position, you actually cannot go h6 because if you do, you would be looking at rook to c6 with check. And this is absolutely winning for white because now you are checked and you're going to pick up this pawn. So you have to be careful. You have to make sure you're in the correct spot with your king to make sure that you can, you know, get rid of this pawn. But this definitely would be ideal if the king was like, let's say back here or something like that, and you're good to go. But we do not see that. Like I said, we do see the move f4. We see king going to f2. We got king to h5. We do see king to f3. We got king taking h4. And then we actually see rook to g2. An alternative was actually rook to c5. You're basically just saying, hey, man, I'm trying to grab this f pawn, but I definitely do not want to lose my g pawn in the process. So we do see rook to g2. We got rook over to f7. We got the move g6. And this is actually getting rid of the pawn that you have on the h file. And it is giving our rook a little bit of activity. So we do see pawn taking g6, rook taking g6. And everything is fairly even right now with a slight edge to white. We do see rook down to f5. We got rook over to a6, attacking this pawn that you have lonely on a7. We do see rook to f7, and we actually see the move rook to a5. And it is in this position that Wesley So resigns the game. Now, you guys might be looking at the situation, and you might be like, wait a minute, bro. You telling me he resigned? Why would you resign this position? It's dead even. Yes, it is dead even. Unfortunately, though, this is a very, very hard position for you to play as black, and it's almost impossible to find a move. I'm going to explain what I mean. Okay, so you have some options here. You can literally move your pawn here to a6 and just lose it immediately if you want to do that. That's just rook takes a6. It's simple. Or you can move this rook somewhere, or you can move this king somewhere. Like, obviously, you guys can see that this king is blockading this pawn at the moment and it can't move. The problem is, this king move, which is the only move for the king, it literally results in rook to h5 with checkmate. You can't do that, right? Bam, let's back up. Where do you put your rook? The problem is your rook is in the only spot, the only square on the board that protects both this pawn and this pawn at the same time. So black is in a complete zugzwang. They cannot absolutely move any of their pieces at all. Anything that they do is going to result in the loss of either one of their pawns. And it is not absolutely 100% lost, but it is a very, very hard in-game to play. So in light of all of that, Wesley So decided, he was like, hey, man, I'm good. Maybe he's seen his in-game technique. He was like, I'm straight. I'm good to go, bro. I'm going to go ahead and just call it a day. I'm going to go grab me something to eat. So, yeah, that is that game. So it was, you know, somewhat of a short game. It wasn't crazy long. I like to try to show those short games, man, not no crazy long games. So, all of my people in the Philippines, I will say mabuhay. Kamusta na aking makaibigan. Ingat lagi to you guys. What else? Well, there's nothing else I haven't said in a long time. I mean, I don't do the good mornings as much. You know, maayong buntag, maya na, was it Malpe Naaga? Like, yeah, I'd have to go through like the exact, like, you know, good mornings like I used to. But it's been a long time since I've done that, bro. But, you know, magandang umaga to everybody. Magandang hapon if you're watching this in the afternoon. Privet to anybody who is coming from Ukraine. And I'm going to see you guys next time.